Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So for this video, I will be doing a Stephen King book review yet again. Although this one will be a little different and a little bit more special for various reasons. Number one being, it was the last Stephen King book, obviously excluding Holly, the new book coming out in September. It's the last Stephen King book for me to read in his bibliography. So now I can finally say that I've read all of Stephen King's books. And of course, you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title of the video, you've probably heard that I was reading it. Well, I've read it, and we're going to talk about it. And that would be Black House by Stephen King and Peter Straub. Now, I know y'all are dying to know my opinion on Black House. So we're going to talk about it. You can probably tell by the vibe that I'm giving off that I really did not like this book. That is true. And we're going to talk about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, we have Black House, written by Stephen King and Peter Straub. Famously, the sequel to The Talisman, which y'all of course know if you've seen really any of my Stephen King videos. My least favorite Stephen King book by a lot. I really hated this book. I gave it 1.5 stars. I really didn't like any of the characters. I thought it was way too long. It was incredibly boring. Most of it I really just did not enjoy at all. Easily my least favorite Stephen King book. So I put off reading this for a long time, and I've actually DNF'd this book several times. I think I've DNF'd it at least 3 or 4 times. I really just could not get past it. But the sparking points for why I actually read and finished this was because Fury from my Discord server, he plays a game with us called Guess the Beats over on, like I said, the Bookish Drummer Discord. And if you get enough beats, if you guess enough drum beats correctly, you get to put your name on the wheel however many times you guess the beats correctly. And he went off and got like all of the beats for that month, and he won. And I think even Pat Savat, just to piss me off, just like switched his names because I think he had won like the previous month or something. And so Fury actually got like 24 votes instead of the usual 12 votes. And he got Black House. And so, yeah, whoever wins Guess the Beat, they get to pick a book off of my TBR for me to read. And of course, Fury picked Black House. And yeah, you can tell by my tone of voice, I really did not like this book. But there's a little bit of a silver lining. The Talisman, I gave 1.5 stars. Black House, I gave 2 stars. So I did like it slightly better than The Talisman. Not by much, but it was definitely more readable. It was slightly more enjoyable, especially listening to Frank Muller's audio performance. And if you don't know who that is, he's done several King audiobooks like The Dark Tower, and I think The Green Mile, and The Regulators, different seasons, I think. So yeah, he's done a lot of King audiobooks, and he's a fantastic narrator. So definitely listening to that was the main reason I got through this book. But other than that, I really did not like it. The first part of this book is so bad. Like, it's just like that alone, like maybe like the first 100 or so pages, 150, is probably the worst one of the worst King stuff I've ever read, because it's written in such a weird third person omniscient point of view, where like the narrator is like literally floating over this town and just like going to these random ass people that for the most part have nothing to do with the story, and they're just like looking at him and seeing what they're doing for a little bit, and then you go over here, then you go over there, then you go over here. It takes for fucking ever for anything real to happen in this book. And yeah, it really wasn't that good. It eventually got like slightly better and more readable. I'm trying to be nice here, but overall, it just really did not work for me. And I know that a lot of people who don't like The Talisman, like me, say that Black House is better. It is better. Like, if I had to choose one book to read over the other, it would hands down be Black House. Even though, like I said, the first part of this book is hot garbage. The second half of this book is better, but still not great. So what did I enjoy about this book? Because I'm kind of shitting on this book a lot. Like I said, I enjoyed Frank Miller's narration. That's the only reason I was really able to get through this book. I did enjoy the Dark Tower elements because there is some heavy Dark Tower connections. So that elements like spread throughout the story are quite interesting. It almost really kind of just feels like a bad Dark Tower novel, to be honest. Like, you know, like I've said before, like Wolves of the Kala is like my least favorite Dark Tower novel. This feels like I mean, it's not like Wolves of the Kala. That's a bad connection, but overall, it just feels like a badly written Dark Tower novel. That's what it feels like to me. I will admit there were some lines in this book. I don't know if it was like the way it was written or the way that Frank Miller, like his performance, like he brought it out, but like there were some really funny moments in this book. So that had some good stuff to it. I will say kind of the first half of Black House almost felt like it was written by Peter Straub, and just, which is a weird thing to say because I haven't read any Peter Straub, but it really didn't feel like Stephen King's like quintessential writing. Whereas the second half of this book, where it started to get like a little bit better, it felt more distinctly Stephen King to me. I don't know. I mean, it could come out and be like, oh, Stephen King wrote the first half and Peter Straub wrote the second half. I don't know. But for me, it definitely felt like the first half was not written by Stephen King, especially those first few chapters, because good God, those chapters were just awful. But it definitely felt like the second half of the book was written by King, because even though it was bad, like I really wasn't enjoying it that much, it still felt familiar enough that I could kind of digest it a little bit. It felt like Stephen King's writing, but it felt like bad Stephen King writing. Like it's, oh God. I'm very curious to see what y'all think of this book, because I really didn't have a good time with it. I'm glad I finally read it just to say that I've read it, because I've DNF'd this book like 4 times, and now I've read all of Stephen King's novels, obviously except for Holly, which comes out in September. But yeah, what a journey. And good thing that like there's one more, or you know, like at least one more Stephen King novel coming out in the future, because if this was the last, like if this was my ending journey to read Stephen King, I'd be very bummed. And I'm kind of mad that I waited this long to read it. I should have saved like a King book, like a good King book, to read as like my last one. But when you start reading like a Stephen King, I made the mistake of reading a lot of his good books first, and like books that I was more familiar with. And like my last 20 books, a lot of them were bad, which kind of probably took longer for me to actually read all of Stephen King's books, because I saved a lot of them for last. So if you're a constant reader and you're going through his works, kind of, you know, sprinkle in some Dreamcatcher and some Tommyknockers and some Rage and Elevation. Like throw those randomly in with It and Cujo and The Shining. You don't just read all of his good books first. Like sprinkle in some badness. That's what I'm trying to say here. yeah, overall, I really don't have that much to say other than that it's just bad, and I knew it was going to be bad. Like, I thought it was going to be worse because I wasn't sure if, like, this third person omniscient weird, like, floating crap was going to be like the whole book. If that was the whole book, this easily would have been 1 star and just would have been the worst Stephen King book ever. But luckily, the writing, I mean, it's there in spurses in the second half, but overall, the writing style does get a little bit better. And like I said, the story, I don't want to give too much away. Like, if you haven't read, like, The Talisman or unfamiliar with whatever, but it's kind of like a murder mystery where you've got this guy, I think he's called, like, the Fisherman, and he's been killing people, like killing children, I think. Also, this I've forgotten a lot of this book already. I think I read it in, when did I read? Did I read this last month? This book is so forgettable, y'all. I've forgotten a lot of it, but essentially, like I said, about this guy named the Fisherman. He's killing people, and Jack Sawyer, spoiler from book 1, God, a terrible character. But he comes back in book 1, and he's like a police detective or something, and he's trying to figure out something. He's trying to... God, I've never been this not excited for a Stephen King book review. Oh, God. I really just did not like this book. That's all I want to say. I kind of just want to end it here. I've got nothing more to say, honestly. It's really bad. Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to think, because obviously The Talisman is still my least favorite. Black House might be my second least favorite. I'd have to think about that, though. Because Rage is really bad. I've read that book twice, and I know I never want to reread that one. But there's also, like, Dance Macabre, which is, like, nonfiction, which was very boring. Elevation. Elevation's super short, though, so I could read that in, like, an hour and be fine. But, yeah. Overall, if the only message I have for this is Black House is bad. It's bad. I'm glad I read it, though. Or I should say that I'm not glad that I read it. I'm glad that I finished it. That's what I meant to say. I did not like this book. I know it has its fans, and yeah, I probably will never reread The Talisman or Black House. It's just bad. All right, so that is my ranty, rambly mess of a review of Black House. And yeah, damn you, Fury. But yeah, what do you guys think of Black House? Do you like it? Chances are you out there in the King fandom probably liked this book and The Talisman more than I did. I really did not. You know, it's weird. Like, I understand. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I can kind of understand why people like these books, but I don't. I don't. But please let me know what your opinion is of Black House. I'd love to chat with you in the comments down below. And other than that, you can look forward to more King content. I know I've been slacking on that, but Stacy's been here, and filming has been kind of hard, especially when we're doing a lot of filming together. It's less time to just film, like, my King videos and my other videos. Hello, cat. But anyway, I will eventually be making more Stephen King content. I want to eventually start doing those Stephen King movie videos that I've been trying to think about. I want to try to do, like, my top 10 Stephen King movies, my least favorite Stephen King movies, and movies or Stephen King book that should be made into movies or remade, and other ideas. I want to start talking about Stephen King movies, and then, like, maybe Stephen King movies that I haven't seen yet that I want to. There's a lot of ideas, and you will get that hopefully sooner rather than later. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the Bookish Drummer Discord. Or not, well, go sign up for Bookish Drummer Discord and then subscribe to the Bookish Drummer YouTube channel. I also have my Patreon page and I have my Amazon wish list. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a fantastic day. Son of a bitch. Let you go.